Welcome everybody back to TalkersandGeeks.com. Justin here, back with another episode of Annie Gaming, episode 8. And today we are going to be talking about Mobile Suit Gundam Journey to Jaburo. And this was on a PS2. And you know what? Let them give you a quick introduction. Just take a listen to this.
Burgeoning population into gigantic orbiting space colonies. Above the planet float hundreds of enormous cylinders with artificial living environments so that people can live as though they were on Earth. 9 months ago, the cluster of colonies furthest from the Earth, called Side 3, proclaimed itself the Principality of Zeon and launched a war of independence against the Earth Federation. Initial fighting lasted over 1 month and saw both sides lose half their respective populations. People were horrified by the indescribable atrocities that had been committed in the name of independence. 8 months had passed since the rebellion began. They were at a stalemate.
Mobile Suit Gundam Journey to Jaburo was one of the early attempts to introduce the Gundam onto the PS2. It was released in 2001, and its title was aimed to capture the iconic battles and intense character-driven drama that we are known for Mobile Suit Gundam, the anime, while introducing fans to a new generation of consoles and gameplay. Though it came out nearly 2 decades after the original series, it was still a nostalgia trip for a lot of the longtime fans, and it was exciting for new ones as well. So, it was made by Bandai and it follows the story of Mobile Suit Gundam, the foundational series that aired in 1979. Journey to Jaburo traces the story arc from the outbreak of the One Year War through its pivotal battles as the Earth Federation forces faces off against the Principality of Zeon. You play as our main character, Amuro Ray, who was a reluctant young pilot who stepped into the mobile suit RX-79 2 and becomes one of the Earth's last lines of defense. And that's pretty much the overview of the actual story. Now, when it comes to the gameplay, it was, let's just say, a mixed experience. The gameplay evolved third person action where players take control of various mobile suits, mostly Amuro's Gundam. Each mission is structured around set objectives, which range from destroying enemy units to surviving a time limit or protecting allied forces. The control scheme was clunky to say the least, mainly because you had to use the D pad to move and use your R analog to aim, and it wasn't as fluid as this will be today. Think of it, especially with the way you're piloting mechs nowadays, this was very frustrating. The Gundams, of course, were slow and awkward, especially when you're doing close, tight knit combat battles. Attacks include melee, beam weaponry, range attacks, but it was limited in movement, and options can make dodging or repositioning difficult because you had to only walk with the D-pad, but you had to use the R analog, for right analog stick, for everything to look around to target and things like that. So it really became more of a dual stick type of composition when it comes to the actual control scheme, I should say, compared to an actual third person action. And especially with the PS2's limitations, this was not very fun to play and it was very frustrating and difficult at times. However, I will say graphically, Journey to Jaburo was one of the most impressive early PS2 games with the character models that really brought out a level of detail to the classic mobile suits that we love. The Zaku's look like Zaku's. Amuro's Gundam RX-78 too looked phenomenal. Not to mention the cutscenes often lifted directly from the anime. Not to mention you had the original voice actors as well. Facial expressions of the anime characters that will pop up on screen when they're in battle or when they're worried really heighten and really gives the immersion that we were looking for. The cutscenes added to the game's appeal, bringing the original animation to life on a new console. However, the environments, I will have to say, at times felt empty, especially in cityscapes or open fields. It just looks bland. But this was thanks to the limitations of early PS2 titles, but it did feel noticeable in a game that was meant to be on a more larger scale when it comes to battles. The sound design, however, is where this game truly, truly shines. With the original voice actors from the anime and the iconic soundtrack, like I said before, do make a return. Really makes you feel like you're playing a Mobile Suit Gundam game, especially with the original. At least, let's just say that the game was mixed with mixed reviews. Fans appreciated the attempt at the adaptation, but however, it was the gameplay, unfortunately, that really kind of did seal its fate. And I just want to talk a little bit more about the controls because maneuvering a mobile suit, of course, it's tricky. But here's the thing: the targeting system was horrendous. You literally had to put them on lock and then use your analog to go up, and then press your button, your D-pad to move, and then press square to shoot. It was horrific. The camera also was an issue as well. It struggled to keep up, often really just kind of obstructing the action and making aiming feel like a chore more than actually satisfying. Despite these issues, some people might say that the clunky controls add to the layer of realism because that's how it will probably feel feeling the weight of a mobile suit. But I'll have to say this: if you ever been to a con, like I've been to Otakon, New York Comic Con, if you ever been to a con where they actually have that Gundam arcade game where you actually sit in the booth and you sit in the pod, I should say, and you really, really feel the controls. You have to move your legs and everything else. That to me, I would have to say, is still the most definitive Gundam gaming experience. And I hope one day we actually get something like that, at least in the VR era. But overall, I will have to say this: Mobile Suit Gundam Journey to Jaburo might not be perfect, but it did lay the groundwork for future Gundam games in general. It brought that presentation that we expect from the anime. And this is one of the ones I would have to say, as far as anime games go, this is one of the few games that I would definitely have to tip my hat to because they really did a good job in terms of presentation and really making you feel like you're watching the anime. The fact that you got the original voice cast back, the fact that you got the original soundtrack back, it makes it much, much more better. And I always say this: anime games are better when we feel like we ourselves, the audience, are in that anime. We are in control. We are experiencing that anime. So getting the voice cast back, getting the soundtrack back makes it really stand out. That's why I love when I buy Sparking Zero. That's when I buy Xenoverse, when I buy Fighter Z. I always make sure I buy the anime music pack because I want to really feel those Dragon Ball moments with the soundtrack with it. We still need Bruce's soundtrack. I still don't know why we don't have that option. We only get the Japanese soundtrack. I know this is a Gundam video, but I'm just saying I would love to see elements of that, like options from English soundtrack and Japanese soundtrack as well. But overall, though clunky and flawed, Mobile Suit Gundam Journey to Jaburo remains a cherished piece of Gundam gaming. It's a game that, despite its shortcomings, managed to capture the feeling of the original anime series, and it really did great of showing the perspective of Amuro in battle. If you're willing to overlook, I should say, its dated control scheme and dated graphics, it is a nostalgia trip for my Gundam fans out there. This is Justin from OtakuToGeeks.com. Did you ever play Gundam Journey to Jaburo? Comment below, let me know, and don't forget to like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Helps out the channel tremendously. I will be back with more anime gaming in the future. Don't forget to check out our playlist, The Women of Anime. Don't forget to check out Essential Anime, Essential Manga, full anime coverage for 2024. So definitely check those out, and we'll catch you here on the next one, folks. Later days. Peace.